the principle of ready, aim, fire is kind of out of the window over the last 12 months, right? It's fire, aim, fire, 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 ready, fire, right? And so that's kind of the pace at what we're moving right now, right? But hey, also this shall pass, right? And we will come out of this, and our industry will stabilize.
Creative Conversations.
Hey Zouk family, welcome back. This week we are very fortunate following Andrew Lee's exciting exclusive that Zouk is going to Las Vegas. We have gone in at the very top and we have plucked the SVP of operations for the entire Resorts World Las Vegas resort, Max Tappeiner, to come and talk to us and tell us stuff that he shouldn't really be talking about how exciting the number one and biggest resort to open in Las Vegas in a decade will be. First and foremost, Max, before I ask you how you are, congratulations on such an exciting role with such a huge project.
Thank you, Joe. It's a privilege, and thank you for having me.
No, not at all. I was lucky enough to be shown around the building site by you this time last year. Different world back then, but it'll be a different world next year when you open around the mid of the year, I believe.
That's right. Yeah, we're looking at a summer of openings, but the earlier the better. But yes, maybe June, July is hopefully when we'll be opening the doors.
So Max, before we cut back into you as Max and your background, tell us a bit, describe the resort for me, because I've only seen pictures of it, but I just can't get the scale of how many rooms you've got and what makes up Resorts World Las Vegas.
Yeah, thank you, Joe. So, we sit on 88 acres, so a massive parcel of land, at a price tag of a little bit $4 billion, one of the most expensive private developments in the history of Las Vegas Boulevard, on Las Vegas Boulevard and in the city of Las Vegas. It's a mega project. We're the largest private construction site in the United States right now. We have more than 3,500 construction workers on site every day. And when we are finally done, it'll be one of the must-see destinations in the world, right? So we will have 3,500 rooms. We'll have a state-of-the-art theater. We're bringing in Zouk and Ayu, so some of the best entertainment in the world. We will have restaurants. We will have an incredible spa. And then obviously a service experience that you know very well from the Highlands and Sentosa that is second to none.
That's incredibly exciting. I mean, one of the most fascinating things that I've seen in recent times is you've built these LED screens within the side of the building that can display HD that can be seen as far as the hills outside Las Vegas. That's pretty special. That's
right. Yeah, thank you, Joe. And it speaks to kind of the embrace of technology and tech forward kind of thinking that we deploy here. And so there is this massive 100,000 square foot screen that sits on the side of one tower, and then there's two additional screens, and that will all interact with each other. So, when you think back to 1999 when the Bellagio opened, or 1989 when the Mirage opened, the first time you saw the fountains, or the first time you saw the volcano, there was a real sense of awe, right? There was this real sense of wonder. And over time, Las Vegas hasn't had a renewed sense of wonder or sense of awe that you were able to experience. And so now that it is 2020 and there hasn't been really an opening of this scale for over 10 years, we're looking to bring that sense of wonder and that sense of awe back to Las Vegas, right? And so we hope to create content for these screens, Joe, that you will have to come here and you'll have to see it, because there won't be a tech immersive experience like the one that we're creating here on this building anywhere else in the United States, right? And so you'll be able to see these screens when you fly in. In fact, I flew in just last week on a Saturday evening, and as you fly in, you can see those screens. And of course, as you get closer, the better the view and the more incredible the experience, right? And we'll use that to draw you in. And then as we draw you in, the property experience will be even better, right? And the technology experience on property will be even more state-of-the-art than the screens on the facade of the building.
I actually think it's one of the landmarks of the world. I've never seen it done like this before. I saw this incredible video that our friend Ron Nicoli created, which was a drone coming out of the building site, looking at a countdown for the resort itself. There must be a lot of hype in Vegas about this property.
Oh, there is, absolutely. And Joe, yeah, Ron and his team, they're so talented. Everything that they're producing is best in class, right? And so the hype in the community, just speaking to that, we've posted the job openings here a week and a half ago, and today, 10 days later, we have 60,000 applications for 5,000 jobs, right? And so I think that speaks to the excitement, that speaks to the demand. And look, we do hope that we'll be part of the renaissance of travel, right? As you said earlier, it's a difficult time for the travel industry. It's a difficult time for the entertainment industry. And we believe that we will be the biggest story in 2021 when we come out of this, right? And we really want to give the travel industry in Las Vegas and the travel industry in the United States a boost. And so, we hope that to a certain extent we can be that light at the end of the tunnel, right? When entertainment comes back to life, that we will have the best entertainers in the world. When the club environment comes back alive, we will have the best DJs in the world, right? And that is something to look forward to. And so we feel very privileged to be in a position to serve as that small little beacon.
You just mentioned about the talent that exists. I mean, Scottsdale has a huge wealth of experience. You yourself have a ton. We know that Ron is a class act. Have you pulled together like almost a dream team of Vegas alumni who are going to drive this to be the best resort in Las Vegas?
Yeah, good question, right, Joe? When Scott asked me to join the team, he referenced that we only want to hire the best, right? And we want to hire this group of Navy SEALs, right, that works together cohesively as one unit and moves in the same direction, right? And, in your career, you only have a few opportunities to create that, right? And so Scott was able to create that and embrace it. And I think, all the individuals that we have here truly are those Navy SEALs, right, Joe, who are best in class, best in the industry. And that really is needed to succeed, right? If you build a $4.3 billion project, you need to have the most responsible and some of the most experienced and to a certain extent, the most ambitious leaders, right? And so we do believe that we have a team of Navy SEALs that hopefully can do it all.
We have a very millennial following at Zouk. I mean, it's 29 years old. We actually have followers of all single age groups. We've got people from 20s up to 50s who have been to the club. But let's focus on those that have graduated this year, some of our strongest nightclub pursuers. How do you become an SVP of operations? I mean, you've got a glittering career. You have a fantastic role now, one of the biggest in Vegas. But where did you start?
Joe. So I really worked my way up. So I chose a very traditional hospitality path out of Europe. So I went to hotel management school. In fact, I was born into the industry. My father was a hotelier. And so I was kind of, not my choice, but kind of born into the industry. My father at some point asked me what I wanted to do. And I told him I wanted to make a lot of money. And he said, well, stay out of hotels. But here I am, right? I chose a very traditional career path. I went to hotel management school in Berlin. Spent 3 years there. I worked in the kitchen, I worked in stewarding, I worked in banquets, I worked at the front desk, I worked as a bellman, valet. I mean, any discipline you can think of, I spent time in, right? And that really served as a foundation for my career, because if you haven't made beds, or if you haven't worked as a steward in the kitchen, if you haven't prepared eggs at 4 a.m. in the morning, you just don't have an appreciation for what that is, right? And so having gone through that for 3 years, it really made me appreciate the craft of running a hospitality business, right? And so from there, I wanted to go and explore the world, and I joined Mandarin Oriental in London, and I was there as a rooms divisions trainee. And then I was lucky enough to be transferred to the opening of the Mandarin Oriental in New York in 2003. Spent 4 years, 5 years there. I was an assistant front office manager, then worked in banquets for a year and a half. Then transferred with Mandarin Oriental to Washington, D.C. Spent 2 years in Washington, D.C. I did my MBA. I did an executive MBA with the company. And then I was able to come to Las Vegas and open City Center with Mandarin in 2009 and progressed through the front office and became the hotel manager at Mandarin Oriental. And thereafter, I joined the Venetian Palazzo, Las Vegas Sands. And I spent 4 years with Las Vegas Sands as VP of operations. And then a year and a half ago, Scott Sabella tapped me to do this one, right? And I guess, when I look back upon, the steps that got me here, there was a couple of key principles. Number one, I always wanted to work for the best. I wanted to work for the best management teams. I wanted to work for the best brands. I wanted to work in the most challenging destinations. I wanted to work in environments that commanded very high rates, because when you can charge really high rates, there is an expectation from the guest that you have to deliver upon, and that usually is very, very high, right? So I guess that was one of my key philosophies. Number two, it was never about the money for me. In fact, when I left New York and when I was in banquets, I was 26, 27. I made a lot of money, Joe. And I went to work in Washington, D.C. as a front office manager, and I took a 60% pay cut. I was married at that time. My wife was not happy. But long term, it was the right thing to do, right? So, don't work for the money. The money will come eventually. But I think it's the long-term career progression, and I was always more interested than anything else, right? And then number three, it's personal development, right? You have to work on yourself. And so I did the executive MBA. I came to the US, a foreign country, different culture, right? Not my mother tongue, and that was always growth along my career outside of the professional kind of environment. And now I feel privileged to be in this role where I can give back to the teams and share some of my experiences, right? And just recently we launched a book club here on property. I have 46 leaders. We read a book together and we work through the book and we talk about it, right? And so it challenges me once again to become a better professional, a better individual. And so that was the third key philosophy that I guess helped me along the way.
First of all, thanks for explaining that. It's incredible to see that you've come from such humble background to work your way up to where you are now. It's a great insight that success doesn't happen overnight. And as you say, sometimes you have to take one step back to take two steps forward. And I totally agree with you that the money is not everything. Career progression can come in any form, especially as long as you're always learning. So it's fantastic also that you have principles. I think that's something that very few people have commented to us, that they follow a principled life, that as long as they're following those, the rest will fall into place. I mean, what is your main learning curves over the years? There'll be a lot of people that this year are petrified because of what's happened, not just with COVID as the virus, but what it's done to the employment market, what it's done to some people have become unemployed from fantastic careers. Some people will be looking and not knowing what the future holds. What is your main advice to people as they take on these challenges? Because you've had to face major challenges in opening this huge resort because this virus has come in and obviously caused all sorts of issues. What would be your advice to people, as you say, you're now passing on to the next generation, in how to progress, and maybe in a career in hospitality or maybe just in life?
Yeah. So number one, I think, we will all come out of this stronger, better, faster. We will all be better leaders. We'll all be better managers. We will all have experiences that enriched our career, right? So, of course, when you're in it and you have to shut down a property, right? Or when you all of a sudden have to deal with putting out all these fires, it's never right? But you are able to develop an ability to think in a different manner, right? You have risk management that is not something you can prepare for, you're thrown into, right? And so you have to react and you have to pivot and you have to move and you have to do all that at a pace that is unprecedented, right? And the principle of ready, aim, fire is kind of out of the window over the last 12 months, right? It's fire, aim, fire, 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 ready, fire, right? And so that's kind of the pace at what we're moving right now, right? But hey, also this shall pass, right? And we will come out of this, and our industry will stabilize, and the individuals who were able to grow through all of this and were able to consolidate, I think will emerge as much stronger leaders, and opportunities will be presented to those who excelled in this environment, right? And look, opportunities are limited right now, but these opportunities will become plentiful when things get back to normal, right? And so, again, that is kind of the long-term view, is that, the night always gets darkest just before sunrise. And I think we're kind of there, right? I think, we're in January and February might become really dark months, right? But come March and April, with the arrival of the vaccination and it being widely available, we do anticipate stabilization and a sense of normalcy to come back in June or July, right? And if that's the case, and demand comes back, occupancy comes back, rate comes back, there will be a fight for talent and top talent, right? And so the individuals who have excelled in this, I think, can really leapfrog others who stagnated or didn't adjust to this new reality, this new change, right? And so some of these principles that we are now embracing when it comes to guest safety and team member safety and looking after the community, those won't go anywhere, right? If you think that we get back to 2019 and think that will be the world that we will go back to, that's not the case, right? guest safety and team member safety and community involvement will never go away, right? And so if you can embrace that and if you can run with that, I think you are extremely well positioned to career and have a fantastic and flourishing career in the coming years.
Max, let me ask you this. You're now working with Zouk. You mentioned Zouk earlier, working very closely with Ron and Andrew. I know you actually came over here. You went to Singapore. You came to Genting. I didn't know if you knew this. You have a nickname in Genting because you're a very muscular guy. The young team here think they actually call you Batista from your experience here. All in affection. What was your experience like visiting the various Zouks, and how excited are you for Zouk to come to Vegas?
Yes, very, and I don't know what Batista means. I hope it's a positive one.
It's a wrestling star. We'll put a photo up here. It's a really jacked wrestling star.
As long as it's not gorilla or elephant, I'm fine with that.
No. It's a super muscular wrestling star. He was a WWE champion.
Okay. All right. Well, thank you. No, look, I'm a sucker for brands. I have great respect for brands, right? I think to build a strong brand, so much goes into that, right? And I've worked for some great brands, and so I have admiration and respect for brands that have succeeded. And Zouk is recognized as the #1 nightlife operator out of Asia, right? And that's an incredible accomplishment. And the pedigree of the brand and the traditions of the brand and the longevity. There is no nightlife brand in the United States that has that longevity that Zouk has, right? And I'm sorry, I don't know exactly, but I think it's over 30 years of continuous operation of Zouk, right? And that's incredibly impressive. And so I have nothing but respect for this brand, and I have a great admiration for the brand, and I'm super excited to bring it here to Las Vegas. And I can tell you this. We've had a couple of DJs here on site, and we toured them on property, and they're extremely excited for Resorts World, and they're extremely excited for Zouk. Some of them actually have performed at some of your locations in Asia, and when they heard we coming here, they wanted to talk to us, right? And that speaks to the brand. So I think the challenge for us, Joe, is how can we take a brand such as Zouk and translate it into Las Vegas? How can we make sure that we bring in talent that supports the brand foundations of Zouk? And how can we support you and your team providing a future outlook of Zouk, right? Because we will just be one stepping stone for this brand. This brand has a bright future. And so we got to make sure that we contribute to it and we continue to further cement the kind of legacy that you have built here over the last 3 decades.
You must, with IU opening first, the beach club scene exciting. You've got the weather. It's a great layout for it. This is a special beach club because it's obviously themed in a Southeast Asian style. Do you see it being a big hit over there in Vegas?
Oh yeah, it'll be incredible. I mean, with some of the designs, and I hope you can show some of the designs here on this presentation. But it's this Balinese influence design, and it's stunning. And it has this beautiful DJ booth with this massive background. That is overwhelming, right? And the audio experience will be second to none. The visual experience will be second to none. The pool experience leading up to the DJ is incredible. The cabanas will have the latest technology and the latest offerings. And then we have good-looking wait staff as well that will complement the whole space. And Ron and the team are designing a uniform program that you will have to come and see, Joe, when you travel to Las Vegas, because it'll be one of the best looking and sexiest kind of uniform program in the city. So holistically, I think we're creating an experience that you will have to come here and see for yourself. I think we'll be able to cater to your entry level and general access consumer, but also to your very, very high end consumer. And again, look, ultimately DJs perform all over the world, and they've seen all venues all over the world. And when we present to some of the DJs, they were super excited to be playing here. So I have no doubt that it will be an all-around success.
It must be just one of the factors. I mean, we're obviously proudest of Zouk, but you're going to have a ton of exciting F&B. I know that you can't reveal too much yet, but you also talk a lot during this chat about the technology you're bringing to Resorts World Las Vegas. Can you just give us of experience that there'll be for hospitality, F&B lifestyle in the resort, and also some of the technology you're most excited about?
Yes, of course. Thank you. Again, we're a very tech-forward property, and when we look into the world of hospitality, there aren't too many hotels or casinos or entertainment operators that do technology really well, right? And Joe, what we firmly believe is that, the service experience for those who choose should live on your personal smartphone, right? So you should have the ability to check in on your phone. You should have your mobile key on your phone. If you wanted to order pillows to your room, you should be able to do so. You should be able to make a restaurant reservations. You should be able to communicate any need through your phone, right? In addition to that, we feel that you should be able to order food or beverages from anywhere, anytime, on your phone, right? And so, we really embraced the residential kind of room service approach. So when you're sitting in your house and you want to order Thai, what do? You pick up your phone and you download an app and you order Thai, right? And if you want to order Italian, you do that on your phone as well, right? And so we will create that same experience here. And so we believe that, the traditional room service experience is still there for certain consumers, but the majority of our consumers will be gravitating more towards a mobile platform, right? So I guess that's kind of the traditional service experiences that where we're augmenting a technology component, right? In addition to that, we've embraced the boring concept. I'm not sure if you're familiar with it, but it is an Elon Musk company. It's an underground transportation system where you have these Teslas flying through these underground tunnels, and so you'll be able to get in a Tesla here on property and get to the convention center in less than 45 seconds. And Joe, if you're not familiar with Las Vegas, to get to the convention center during a big convention might take you 20 to 30 minutes. And so now you'll be able to get there faster in an electric vehicle, which is futuristic, and it'll cost you a fraction of the normal transportation expense, right? And that speaks to our sense of innovation and risk-taking and entrepreneurialism, right? And we're the first private entity to ever sign on with this boring tunnel, right? And so we're extremely excited about it. So those are kind of the technology enhancements and thought process that we'll be deploying. And then, when it comes to the traditional service experience, we believe wherever you deliver a traditional service experience that isn't tech enhanced, it needs to be authentic, right? And it needs to be best in class, right? And so when we consider our food and beverage offering, again, we'll have 40 of them, and some of them are brands that you will be very familiar with. And so again, we're looking to bring in the best chefs in the world, and some of them may not be, 3-star Michelin chefs out of big destinations. Some of those might be food hawkers out of Singapore or food hawkers out of Hong Kong, right? Where we bring them in and they do 2 or 3 dishes, but those 2 or 3 dishes are the most authentic and best in class that you can have anywhere in the world, right? And that's really how we think about food and beverage and the overall service experience on property.
First of all, thanks for explaining about the technology. That's exceptionally exciting. I've never heard anything quite like that before, especially the transportation links that come through. The ease of ordering around the resort is something that I would love. I find it very frustrating when you have to walk. I mean, I was lucky enough when I visited you, I was taken to all this, but to have to think about half an hour walk to go and queue for your favorite restaurant when you can get it ordered to your location is fantastic and super forward thinking of you guys. So Max, let's download off work a bit. How does Max relax in Vegas when he's not working? I mean, one of the things you promised me, which I'll take you up for, is to go hiking with your son. I'm definitely going to take you up on that. But how do you get your downtime in Vegas, man?
Yeah, it's interesting right now. We work hard, right? And I think, Joe, to your listeners and those working in our industry, our work, what we do really is a lifestyle, right? And, if you don't enjoy what you do and you work 60 hours, I wouldn't wish that on anybody. And so, I really, number one, I really enjoy what I do, right? And I surround myself with a team that I admire and that I look up to, right? I mean, everybody that works on my team, I feel privileged to be working with, right? And so I think it's creating that really positive work environment. I think that's key to success in any professional's life, right? And then yes, you got to be able to find a balance, right? And so similar to you, I like to hit the gym. I like to lift a few weights. I think you probably lift a lot heavier than I do. I go with the little weights.
Absolute rubbish. That's absolute rubbish.
I lift the little weights, you lift the big ones. But, that is one outlet. And then, I love the outdoors, right? So I love to get away. And what we do is I have a small group of friends and we go scrambling and we go, it's borderline rock climbing. So we go to the very edge of where you need to have a helmet and a rope. And that's usually where we stop. And that's really good to disconnect, right? And I think to any young professional, find something that when you are doing it, for me, again, it's this rock climbing, scrambling kind of environment. When I'm in there, I'm 100% focused on the activity, right? And to me, that's almost like meditating, because I have no time and I can't divert any attention to thinking about work or any problems. And when I come out of, a 6-7 hour hike, Joe, I'm completely refreshed. I'm creative again. I have a lot more energy, and it clears my mind. And then on top of it, I do read quite a bit. So I always read at least, one management literature. I read The Economist, and then I read something fun that, just as a distraction. But I think reading is key to success.
Yeah, I think you're spot on. You definitely lift bigger weights than me, but I think to have that release is invaluable. I mean, I agree with you. I live in a resort. You basically live in a resort, and lifestyle that goes past the midnight hours, anything that takes you almost 24 hours is a lifestyle choice. But we're lucky. We work for forward-thinking companies that are very much family companies that integrate the staff into feeling like you're a major factor, you're part of the DNA of Resorts World Las Vegas. I mean, you'll be able to say that you opened the freshest, largest, best resort in Vegas in such a long time. And I think that's where the passion comes from, at least speaking for myself. When you see your creations go from conceptualization to reality and you know that you made an impact, it's worthwhile all those hours. But it's also great to download. And I'm like you, the hiking is a major factor, because when you're in the outdoors, and you must have breathtaking views down in Vegas. I mean, you must be able to see incredible things. And you get the seasons as well as over there, right?
That's right, yeah. And what people don't realize about Las Vegas is that we have so many national parks surrounding us. And especially, the northern national parks in Utah between Zion and Bryce Canyon and the Arches and obviously the Grand Canyon are incredible, Joe. So the next time you're in Vegas, I'll take you out and we'll do some of those fun hikes.
Hey, man, that's 100%. Listen, Max, you're a busy man. You have a resort to open. So thanks so much for your time. It's been fascinating to listen to you and learn from you. We loved meeting you last year. I will send you a picture of Batista so you know it's a compliment and not an insult. But congratulations, Max. And I think what is really fascinating is hearing how your beginnings led you through to where you are today through hard work, graft, and you made clearly the right decisions, and you're the perfect guy to get this to be a monumental success. So congratulations and thank you.
Thank you, Joe. And hopefully we'll have you here for the opening.
Yeah, man. I've already asked Ron to put me up in his spare room. I can't wait. But it's fantastic to see great people work together. You're obviously fantastic what you do. Ron is a hero for us out in Asia as well. And we cannot wait to see this resort open. I mean, there's a lot of hype around it. As I said, I've seen the screens. They give me goosebumps. But I know what's in store. You know what's in store. A lot of people haven't got that info yet, but when they do, they'll be wowed for sure.
That's right. Well, Joe, thank you for the opportunity, and I'll have more than a spare room for you when you get here, and maybe 1 or 2 glasses of champagne as well. So
you're a superstar, Max. Thanks so much, my friend. Take care, look after yourself, and stay safe.
You as well. Thank you.